Somewhere in the dark, weeks after the war, a survivor is turning a crank by hand. No engine, no fuel. Just an arm that won't stop moving, and a small box that hums as it spins. And out of that box, out of nothing but motion, comes a thin, steady stream of electricity. The same force that died in the first second of the war. The hum that vanished from the whole world, coming back. Not from a power plant. From one tired person, in an afternoon, with a magnet and a coil of wire. This is the moment the silence finally breaks. Not with a sound you fear. With one you build. You have fire. You have metal. You can shape the world with your hands now. But everything you build still has to be driven by your hands. Your muscle is the only engine you've got, and muscle is slow. And muscle gets tired, and muscle sleeps. The old world ran on something that never tired. A river of invisible force humming through every wall, doing the lifting, the pumping, the lighting, the thinking, electricity. Take it away in even a world full of metal machines. Just sits there, dead, waiting for a hand. To bring the modern world back, you don't need to find electricity. There's no deposit of it to dig up, no spring of it to drink. You have to generate it, to invent the act of making it. From scratch, the way Faraday did alone. In a room, to centuries ago. And here's the astonishing part. The secret is almost insultingly simple. The entire foundation of the electric world, every power plant, every turbine, every charger rests on one short sentence you could teach a child. By the end of this, you'll know that sentence. You'll understand the single trick that turns motion into power. How to build the machine that does it. Why copper is the one metal that matters. How to store the lightning once you've caught it. And why this one rung, not fire, not metal, is the moment a survival camp becomes a civilization again. Here is the sentence. Move a magnet near a coil of wire, and electricity appears in the wire. That's IT. That's the whole law the modern world stands on. Nobody fully knows why the universe works this way, but it does. Reliable every single timer. A magnet has an invisible field around it. When that field moves across a wire, when it changes, it pushes the tiny charges inside the metal into a flow. Or current. Stop moving the magnet and the flow stops. Move it again and it returns. Electricity, from this angle, isn't a substance you store in a jar. It's what happens when a magnetic field and a wire move past each other. Which means the problem of making electricity collapses into a much simpler problem. How do you keep a magnet and a coil moving past each other? Over and over without stopping. Answer that, and you've solved power itself. You need to move it, and you need to keep it. First, moving it, the current has to travel, and it will only travel freely through certain metals. Copper is the great one. It lets charge run through it with almost no resistance. Which is why the old world buried millions of miles of copper inside its walls and under its streets. A civilization is, in a real sense, a map of where its copper runs. So you melt copper, draw it into long thin wire, and wrap your world in it, a nervous system for the current to flow along. Then tapping the sets, the vindies, generate with motion, carry it on copper, store it in chemistry. Those three inventions, together, are the entire skeleton of the electric age. Here's the thing nobody tells you about electricity. It isn't a machine. It isn't even really a thing. It's a medium. A way to move energy and information from one place to another, almost instantly, with no moving parts in between. Think about what that actually buys you. Before electricity, to move power you moved an object, a turning shaft, a pushed cart, a hand. To send a message you moved a body, a runner, a rider, a ship. Electricity lets you move force and word with no body at all, at the speed of light, down a thread of copper. That is the real revolution, and it's why this rung changes everything above it. Light becomes possible. Then communication. Then, eventually, machines that don't just do work but calculate, that handle information itself. Fire gave you heat, metal gave you tools. Electricity gives you something stranger than both, a way to send the commands, power and signal anywhere, instantly. The world stops being a place you push by hand and becomes a place you can direct. So what does that first hand crank spark actually unlock? Start small, light. A single bulb means the day no longer ends at sunset. You can work, read, heal, and plan into the dark. Then heat and motion on demand, anywhere a wire reaches. Then the big one, communication. A current down a wire can carry a voice, a message. A signal across a continent in a heartbeat, and a scattered handful of survivors stops being scattered. They can coordinate, share what they know, stop solving the same problem 100 times in 100 isolated camps. Electricity is the rung where a civilization stops merely surviving and starts connecting where knowledge itself begins to move faster than the people who hold it.